The SRX returns to the Nashville Fairgrounds for the second time, and we see Bobby Labonte pick up officially his first ever SRX victory. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching the SRX race for Nashville Fairgrounds. We're going to talk about the heats and talk about the overall race as well. So first, let's jump into the heats. So this heat would really be dominant. There wouldn't be really much action happening in heat number one. And Joseph Newgarden would pretty much dominate heat number one. He had Julio Cashnema's Bobby Labonte right behind him in heat number one. But Joseph Newgarden would pretty much dominate heat number one and would win the first heat, which is his first ever heat in the world of SRX. And actually, it's the first time I think he's competed in something that's not an open wheel car. And his first time he's competed something with fenders. So for him to win the first heat, that was really, really cool. He would dominate and win heat one. Only caution came out for a fun flag, but he would lead every single lap in heat number one. Then in heat number two, they would go ahead and invert the field with basically Cole Williams, who finished last in heat number one. He would start on the pole in heat number two, and he would pretty much just straight up dominate heat number two. Now, he had his outside base at the time was Tony Kanaan, but Tony Kanaan, I think, had some issues and started dropping back. Marco Andretti really tried to give a really hard charge to Cole Williams to near the end of heat number two, but that would really not happen at that point. Tony Stewart also really fell out of the race well, and they actually called the race a little bit early as well, with Cole Williams winning it under caution. So that's what happened in heat number two in there. So now let's go to the main feature of this race, because there was a little bit more stuff that definitely happened in this race for sure, but it really was much of the same. So at the start of the race, you, I believe, had Marco Andretti inside and Bobby Labonte on the outside. Bobby Labonte would get a really, really good start on Marco Andretti because those two really charged up to the field in their heats. Bobby Labonte would be able to get the lead, and he would dominate the early portion of this race. And this race would actually go green for the longest it's gone so far, and they would go green for nearly 37 or 38 laps before they decided to go ahead and throw the fun flag. Then the second caution in the race would come out, I believe, with around 25 or 26 laps to go for Joseph Newgarden. Joseph Newgarden was having a really good run at the beginning. He unfortunately just overdrove the corner and would get into the outside wall. Lucky for him, he wouldn't get a ton of damage. Also, by the way, Tony Stewart, he basically fell out of the race and would have to start at the rear of the field because they had to change something on the car. He would be started 10th in there. Then we go back green for a little bit, and the racing got a little bit more tense, a little bit crazy. Bobby Labonte and Marco Andretti still having the two dominant cars, with them having a little bit of contact. And also Paul Tracy really showing up in this race as well, having a lot of pace and a lot of speed. All of a sudden, near the end of this race, Matt Kenseth, who'd been really quiet, running around 7th or 8th position, he was making his SRX debut. Matt Kenseth was really starting to come to life and was really starting to show up. He was past the cars left and right. It was nearly a 10th or 2/10ths quicker near the end of the race. Then the final caution would come out around 10 laps to go for an incident between Joseph Newgarden and Tony Kanaan. I believe Tony Kanaan got into the back of Joseph Newgarden, and they spun out, bringing out the caution with 10 laps to go. Because of the SRX rules, they say no caution laps counted, so they restarted with 10 laps to go, with Bobby Labonte having the lead and Marco Andretti in second. Marco Andretti tried to give a charge to Bobby Labonte near the end, and we saw Matt Kenseth, who got a little bit trapped up in the 5th or 6th position, who got a little bit of lost position on the restart. He would get around all those guys. He had around Paul Tracy with a few laps to go and started charging after Marco Andretti. Matt Kenseth was 4 or 5, basically about 2 or 3 tenths quicker every lap. And coming to 2 laps to go, Matt Kenseth was only 1.1 second back and started catching Marco Andretti to get around him for position. But it would not be enough for Matt Kenseth to get around Marco Andretti. It would not be enough for anybody to catch Bobby Labonte. And coming off the corner, Bobby Labonte would dominate the race and lead, I believe, every single lap and win the SRX race at the Nashville Fairgrounds. Bobby Labonte deserves this win. He had the best car all night, best car overall throughout the whole entire race from start to finish, and absolutely deserves the win, in my honest opinion. Massive congratulations to Bobby Labonte. He did have some challenges from guys like Marco Andretti and Paul Tracy for the victory, but massive congratulations to Bobby Labonte on picking up the victory. So now let's go through the results of tonight's race and give my thoughts on today's race. So Bobby Labonte picks up the victory. Marco Andretti finishes second. Marco Andretti's been fast all year. He's just not been able to close out and win a race this year, but gets a really strong second place finish. Marco Andretti still has got it. Andretti hasn't always overall been the greatest driver in the world in IndyCar, but coming here in the SRX, he's really come back to life as a driver. He's really shown what he's capable of and has got that confidence back and gets a really strong runner-up finish. He finished really well last week as well, so to see him get another great finish is awesome to see. Matt Kenseth finishes third. If we had another 5 or 6 laps, I think Matt Kenseth could have had something for Bobby Labonte because he was coming to life and had the fastest car near the end of the race. Unfortunately, he ran out of time to get up there. And Matt Kenseth really was kind of quiet most of the night. And he started 11th position and drove all the way up to finish third. If he has a few more laps, I think Matt Kenseth contends for the overall victory. He gets a really strong third place finish regardless. Good run for him. Paul Tracy finished his fourth. Paul Tracy backing up a really strong run last weekend at Stafford. Finished on the podium last week, was contending for a podium position, had a really strong car in this race. Paul Tracy's not a fluke anymore. Take that, Darian, for making a bus video on there. But really awesome run for Paul Tracy. He's been really getting better the last couple of weeks. He's getting more acclimated. Would not surprise if he does somehow sneak a win here in the next couple of weeks. He may win next week at I-55. Who knows? Really good to see Paul Tracy get a top 5 finish there. Julio Castroneves finishes 5th. Castroneves had a top 3 or 4 car, but he had some damage early in the race that I think affected him just a little bit, but he still gets a very solid top 5 finish. Great run from Julio Castroneves. Ryan Newman finished 6th. Solid top 6 finish. That's all I can say right there. Newman just was consistent tonight. He was catching up near the end of the race and was getting through the field. Unfortunately, just never got up there to contend, but gets a Roshan 6th place finish. Josie Newgarden with a really incredible comeback, and despite him wrecking a couple times in the race, Josie Newgarden did pretty well in his open debut, his first ever debut in the SRX. Saw a run, did get a heat win, which is good to see, and hope he does come to NASCAR run at some point because it'd be cool to have him in the series. Michael Waltrip finishes 8th. Michael Waltrip was at one point contending for top 5. I'm like, where the heck did this guy come from? Michael Waltrip's been kind of quiet this year. He's had a couple decent runs, but tonight was one of his better runs for sure. He finishes in 8th. Gray Biffle was really strong early in the race and really strong in the heats. He never really got up there contended. It's probably one of his worst performances I've seen from Gray Biffle so far. He finishes in 9th. Ryan Hunter-Reay was also really quiet tonight. Probably the quietest I've seen him so far in the SRX. He finishes 10th. Tony Stewart finished 11th. Tony Stewart really struggled tonight, to be honest. Probably the worst I've ever seen Tony Stewart perform. I thought it's the first race of the year, the one that opened up the season. I thought that was his worst performance. This one takes the cake. This is probably his worst performance overall. He struggled massively tonight in the race and did horrendously. He finishes 11th. Cole Williams, a local driver, finishes 12th. Cole Williams really wasn't a factor, to be honest. The car just was not that good for him at all. Unfortunately, finished the last car in the lead lap. And Tony Kanaan finished last in 13th position after getting some damage and going 3 or 4 laps down. So now let's go through overall my thoughts on today's race, give my score on today's race. I thought today's race was okay, to be honest. There was definitely good moments for sure, but honestly, I thought today's race could have been a little bit better. I wanted a little more side-by-side, a little more beating and banging. I just wanted a little bit more of that oomph and a little more emphasis on the battling and stuff. I understand these guys are trying to keep these cars alive, but we could have seen a little bit more emphasis there. I'm happy at 13 cars, don't get me wrong. That was really cool to see. But I just want to see a little bit more in the race than we got tonight. Wasn't terrible. Thought the race, there was good moments in the race for sure, especially near the end. I thought the race did progressively get a little bit better. So for me tonight, I'm going to give tonight's race a 7 out of 10. Just want to see a little bit more, not going to lie. It wasn't horrendous. There was good moments for sure. Great battles throughout the field. Just want to see a little more action. 7 out of 10 for tonight's SRX race at the Nashville Fairgrounds. So anyway, that is going to be for this weekend's SRX review from the Nashville Fairgrounds. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on page. All the list gets lower with that. Comment your thoughts on today's race. What are your thoughts on tonight's SRX race? Let me know below. Let me know your score to console, and congratulate Bobby Labonte picking up his first ever SRX victory at the Nashville Fairgrounds. Let me know in the comments below. Next weekend, we have the SRX race from I-55 Speedway. I'm not sure if I'm going to be there or not. I'm going to try to make it out to the SRX race at I-55. I hope to be there. It's my hometown track. I live a few miles from the track, so I hope to be there, but I'm not confirming anything. And also, of course, tomorrow on the channel, we've got the Cup Series race view from Atlanta Super Speedway. Pending the weather, the Xfinity race is bad, so hopefully the Cup race will be better than that. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.